The topic that I am focusing on this week centers around holistic health, how we choose to nourish ourselves. There are many different ways of nourishing our body, as well as our mind and our soul. And when we consider all these different components together, this really brings us to being able to live a life of greater health and well-being. Of all of these, what I want to focus on today is the impact that food choices have on our mood and why that is the case. There are many different diets around and many different eating patterns that are encouraged by health professionals, by the media, by the latest fads. And yet one of the most important aspects tends to get overlooked. Very often, especially when it comes to weight loss, diets are focused more around what will bring quicker weight loss and instant results versus long-term health. Why do I say this? Because many diets don't always take into account the impact that food choices have on our gut. For many years now, gut health has been studied, and there's still a lot to learn in this area. But one of the most important things for us to start coming to terms with and understanding is that what we are putting into our bodies, the food that we are choosing to eat, has a real impact on how our gut functions. There is a connection between our gut and our brains. It's called the gut-brain axis. And what we are discovering as research extends further into this field is that the food that we are choosing to eat has an impact, a direct impact on the feedback to the brain, as well as some of the most important hormones that are produced in the body that affect mood, that affect metabolism, that affect whether we become diabetic or not. Another example of this is people, unfortunately, who suffer with colon cancer and rectal cancer and other forms of cancer, and how the food that they are choosing to eat impacts the cells and the lining of the intestine and the colon. Also, people who are suffering with inflammatory bowel conditions, which are more autoimmune related, as well as celiac disease and even irritable bowel syndrome, all have a concern regarding the inflammation that exists within the intestine and the colon. And why this becomes so important is because the dynamic and the microbiome that exists in this area, when it is out of balance, affects other areas in the body. The hormone that I want to focus on the most today is that called 5-HTP, which is the precursor to serotonin. Serotonin is the hormone in our body that makes us feel really good, makes us feel happier, makes us feel more satisfied with our lives. And when the amount of serotonin that our body is producing is reduced substantially, then we see a link to greater levels of depression and anxiety. This is something at the moment in the world, particularly with the COVID pandemic, that we've all been very much, no matter where you are in the world, have been affected by. And we see that levels of depression and anxiety have risen, not only because of the situation, but also because of increased stress and increased poor choices in foods. So what foods are we looking at in order to boost the amount of serotonin that our gut is able to produce? This 5-HTP is actually produced in the cells of the gut lining, and the better we eat, the more of this we produce. So the foods that we focus on primarily are foods that are most close to their natural form, a diet rich in fruits and vegetables and fibre, because this nourishes the gut and gives prebiotics, which is the material that the probiotics feed off to be able to produce a better environment, as well as healthy fats in moderation, proteins like Fish, especially your more anti-inflammatory type of fish, which are higher in omega-3s, which are your fatty fish, but white fish is also wonderful. And the things that we are looking to reduce and not eat as much of are products like red meat, chicken less so, a little bit of turkey as well. We're also looking at reducing alcohol consumption, refined sugars, processed foods, and complex carbohydrates are also very much encouraged in this way of eating. When we look at this as the focus of why we're choosing to eat certain foods, and we're focusing more on how we are nourishing our gut, realizing that by nourishing our gut, we are actually decreasing inflammation in our body, we are increasing levels of serotonin, which actually make us feel more positive and less likely to suffer as much from depression and anxiety, then it becomes more about health in general instead of weight loss or a specific fad that enables us to be able to achieve a very short-term goal, although it may seem like a long-term goal at the time. I hope this post has been helpful today. I will explore this topic a little bit more in detail, and this is really an evolving wealth of scientific research and something definitely to be watched. There are many nuances to it, and depending on what you specifically are looking for information on, whether you do have any bowel-related issues, whether you are already taking something like an SSRI, which is naturally for depression or anxiety, there are ways to impact how much your body can be supported through the food choices that you make. And I always strongly advise that with any of this kind of nutrition information or dietary information, that you seek the help of somebody who can give you a unique and individualized plan based on what your needs are. Hope you have a wonderful day and a great week further. I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions in this regard.